Thanks for tuning into our seller interview series. Up today, we've got a service business for sale in the technology niche. Created in October 2013, this business makes $5,367 per month in net profit, and the listing number for this business is 41038. Now, we do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the businesses they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We got the seller with us today to go through the business and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. Thanks for coming on, Alan.
Good morning.
So before we dive into the business here, I just want to give a quick summary of the business for everyone out there listening in. As I mentioned, it was built in October 2013, has a monthly revenue of $9,391, with expenses sitting at $4,024 for that net profit of $5,367. That is over a 12-month average. And included with the sale of the business is the domain, the hosting platform, social media accounts, an email list of 3,000 subscribers, as well as the PBN used in the service, which contains 180 sites. So I think it's already pretty clear that this is an SEO service that you're offering, but can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses? Is this kind of your first one? Is it one of many?
I would say probably second real online business. My background is in IT, the technology sector. I was an IT director, or CTO as you guys would call it, for many, many years. And just before the millennium, developed an online business in the financial services sector. And that grew remarkably well. It was within months, extraordinary traffic. And we actually ended up raising $500,000 venture capital with that business, and we actually floated the business on the stock market. And ironically, we floated the financial services business on the stock market. We floated on the Friday, and then 9/11 happened on the Tuesday, and then that market obviously just basically collapsed overnight with the collapse of the markets and stuff. So
that was a bad day for your business, yeah?
Yeah, well, a bad day for everybody, obviously, but it's just one of these things in life, you can't cater for that. So we eventually sold it for a small amount of money, nowhere near what it could have been, but it was just a missed opportunity. And then I went back into IT, and then I kind of retired from IT, moved into a different sector, and I used my IT knowledge in that sector, and I've discovered that, hey, I think there's a market here for what I'm doing for other people in this sector. And that was when I developed a site. It took me about 8 to 10 months to finally get my head around how I was going to monetize the site. But once I figured, it became basically profitable overnight.
And that's this business currently, correct?
That's this business that we're discussing now, yes.
So describe a little bit how this service business is making money. There's a lot of different services out there, and I kind of already gave it away. That's an SEO service. Maybe you can describe a little bit what you're doing for people and like how the revenue is created.
Yeah, we described it as a managed SEO service. It's targeted business sector who are typically, although it's a kind of sector, they usually don't have knowledge in this particular area. So we basically pitch this service to our client list that basically use the website as a funnel to give us potential clients. The website's very much a knowledge-based site, lots of kind of evergreen-based articles about SEO and marketing. That pulls the clients in. We then pitch to them about once every 3 months or so and say, look, we have this managed SEO service. We only open up to a small amount of people at a time, and it's currently open, and it's going to be open for about 48 hours. We email all the clients' mailing list at that point, and we always sell it out, so it always does well. We take on the clients. We'll do a manual check of their websites for them. We'll tell them what needs to be optimized at their end, and then we do all the off-site optimization. So it's basically doing the backlink building, social signals, that kind of thing for them. We'll send them a monthly report on the activity we've done for them. And typically clients will stay with us anywhere between 6 to 18 months.
6 to 18 months?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good length of time. I'm assuming they're paying a flat monthly retainer fee during that entire time?
Yeah, a setup fee initially. That covers the sort of cost of the site audit, because that does take a little bit of manual effort. And then they pay a monthly retainer thereafter.
So with that said, obviously once these clients are ranked, unless it's a super competitive niche, and maybe this is a competitive niche, I know a lot of the times it doesn't take too much effort to keep the rankings, right? Once the work is actually done, as long as you maintain your PBN, all that good stuff. So why are you selling the business? Why not just, keep growing that business and keep cashing the checks that these clients are sending to you?
Why am I selling the business? Basically, I'm now I'll be 55 in August. I would describe myself as currently semi-retired. I spend 6 months of the year over in Florida, enjoy the sunshine. And my wife, she is retiring this year, so I'd like to join her. So generally, whilst I enjoy what I do, I'm getting to that. Yeah, I'm starting to enjoy other things in life, so I'm looking to sell the business and retire, to be honest.
Gotcha. So you're looking to take this money and go off into the Floridian sunset, yeah?
Yeah, a bit more golf and all that kind of thing, you know.
Very cool, man. I actually used to visit Florida quite often when I was a kid. From Alaska originally, but went there in the summer. Really, really nice place.
Yeah.
So when you first started this business, you kind of already described it a little bit, but what was the trajectory of it for those first few weeks and months when your site went live and you started to go out there to acquire clients?
When we started to specifically pitch this service, we took it quite slowly because we wanted to see how it would go. We weren't sure how successful it would be, how good a job we would do for the clients, because it is actually in quite a competitive sector in terms of SEO. So we've got to manage those expectations to the clients. Just say, look, you're not going to just suddenly jump to number one. You know, it's going to take us a bit of time. Our target for them is to get them onto page one. So we took it slowly initially, and then once we kind of got the formula, if you like, of how we actually pitch and sell the service, then it's just on autopilot. Every 3 months we just strip it out. And I've just been quite happy with the growth. As I say, I was semi-retired, so I was happy at just the level to keep it at, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything you learned from this business in particular? Let's pretend that you weren't, going to retire or whatever, that you wanted to start another business. Is there anything you learned from this business in particular that worked really well for you that you'd apply to, that hypothetical business?
Probably just the pure power of email marketing. I never realized how powerful it was. I dabbled with email marketing before, but it's always just send an email out and wait and see what happens. But there is an actual formula you've got to follow in how you deal with people over email. And once we figured that out, I realised how powerful that was. So, yeah, if I was carrying on or adapting it to a different business, I would take that forward.
You have a sizable email list here. Are you talking about people email marketing as far as people who opt into your email list, or are you also talking about doing like cold email outreach?
No, this is pure people that have opted in. We don't do kind of cold emails. It's always people that have opted in.
Okay, cool.
I'm not a fan of cold emails personally. It's just sends a shiver up my spine.
Is there anything you tried with this business that you thought was going to be more successful than it actually was?
Yeah, we dabbled a little bit with trying to offer an a la carte service. We would take elements of what we do in our managed SEO business and sell little chunks of it. So we'd say, for example, say somebody just wanted some citation work done for local search. We tried to sell those little parts of the service, but that didn't seem to take off as much.
Gotcha. Now, when it comes to actually acquiring clients, where are you getting them from exactly? I'm assuming quite a lot from organic, but are there other traffic channels too that you're utilizing to acquire clients?
Most of the time it's organic because the nature of the website is very knowledge-based. It's a great site for people coming looking for that type of information. We do get a lot of organic input from there. If we ever want to switch the tap on, if you like, and get more clients in, we just use Facebook. We'll just put an ad campaign on Facebook, run it for a month, and we've ticked the client base up again.
Now, are people finding you organically in multiple different localities? I'm assuming all of them's in the UK, but what is the breakdown on that?
At the moment, are UK based, I would say, just because that's where we tend to target things. I'd guess probably 85% of our email base are UK, and that reflects in our client base as well. But it's something that I think the USA, I would love to just spend. If I was going to take the business forward, that would be where I would be spending time now, to grow that business over, to target it to the USA market, because it's a massive market.
So on your actual email list, do you have an email marketing follow-up of any kind? You mentioned the power of email marketing. So what exactly are you doing there?
Well, what we do when somebody visits our site for the first time, we have a couple of tools on the site to actually encourage them to sign up. A lot of the articles that we write we'll offer lead magnets. We'll say if you want more information, give us your email address and we'll send you some more. There's a SEO tool on there as well they can use to analyse their own site, and that gets them signed up to the database. Once they sign up, we then send them 7-step course on SEO telling them what they can do themselves to improve things. And that goes down very, very well. We get lots of good feedback from the clients from that. Then once they're in that loop, we will, at the end of that 7-step plan, spread over about 3 weeks, we will mention the service that we offer. And then what happens is every so often, every time we've got a new feature article on the website, we'll send out to users, tell them about the article, and at that point we'll introduce it. We're going to be opening up the managed service soon. Remember, it's only limited to a small amount of people at a time. So if you're interested, watch out for this email in the next couple of days. And then that's when we trigger the emails. And then the sales emails go out over a 48-hour period.
So you mentioned clients tend to stay for at least 6 months with you, paying a retainer style fee. Yep. How stable are those earnings? Do you find that there's any kind of seasonality in a business like this?
I haven't noticed it, to be fair, Greg. I can't say there's any seasonality. I think because of the nature of the niche I work in, I've always got to be careful what day of the week I send the emails out. Things don't work well if I send them out at weekends and stuff. So we've learned that as well, that certain days emails work well. Seasonality, I haven't really noticed, to be honest.
No worries. It's an intriguing niche. I wouldn't imagine be too affected by seasonal. Maybe Christmas, and if the new owner expands into America, maybe July might be a little slow for them because that tends to be slow in the American business calendar. But speaking, you mentioned the site is pretty informational. So are you adding content to the site regularly right now, or how much content is actually on the site?
Currently, there's about 50 articles, and they're all pretty beefy articles on the site. I mean, typically when we do one now, we're talking usually 2,500 words articles. We kind of structure them in such a way that the articles are written in an evergreen way. So if somebody visits the site for the first time, they don't know when that article was written. So any new visitors to them, the article could be written yesterday or a year ago. And we designed this site to be specific like that. There's no dates on the website, for example. Because I'm kind of semi-retired, I don't write as much content as I probably should. I'm working on an article just now, and the last time I did one was probably back in May.
Gotcha. Now, when you're actually performing the service itself, a buyer that's looking at this business, they might be thinking, wow, this is all great, but maybe they're not super familiar with how to actually perform the service, but they're still interested in the business itself. What would be your recommendation to a buyer like that to keep continuing the service?
Well, what we do follows a pretty simple formula. Obviously, you just got to keep an eye on SEO trends and know what's happening, but we have some guys that we know who we follow in terms of training, basically SEO training. The guys are really switched on, and we just keep an eye on what they recommend doing. We have a team of people. I've got 4 staff that do the work for me, and they just follow the formula. It's all very process written. We got a new client comes on, we follow this take on procedures, and I hand it over to the team, and then that's it. It's very straightforward.
So that kind of segues into my next point. Usually with a service business, the real asset that the buyer is buying is the team, right? There's sometimes some technology assets in there, and of course the client book. So would you go into, explaining a little bit about your team, who they are, what they do, and then also about your PBNs? You can separate the two out.
Okay. Team, we have 2 SEO-based staff and 2 content writers. One of the SEO staff kind of manages everything. She'll manage the full client list. She'll look after what content has to be posted on our PBN networks. She'll manage what social signals have to be done for the clients. The other SEO staff, basically, they do all the kind of, I'd say the lesser SEO work, the stuff that doesn't get so much results but needs to be done, like citations and things like that. She does that kind of work. The 2 content writers are just driven by the SEO people. They just tell them, look, here's the keywords we want you to write about for the next week. And the little engines that just punch out content. They do a great job. The PBN that we have, we've currently got about 180 domains in there. It grew from initially we only had 5. So we've grown it over the years. That is actually very easy to manage. It's quite surprising that we've kind of got that structured in such a way now. If you had asked me 2 years ago if I could manage 180 PBN, I'd be going, oh my God. But now it's actually an absolute breeze because there's lots of tools out there we can use to manage that network. It's very easy, The PBN side of it is a bit I least worry about, to be honest.
That's great. It is often a choke point as your PBN size grows bigger. It does become more difficult to manage it typically. A new buyer that takes over this business who wants to really grow it and more scale it than just like sit back and rest on the laurels of what the business is already doing. I'd imagine they would have to go out and find new PBNs. Do you have some kind of methodology to go out and find these expired domains to use for SEO purposes?
Yes, we do actually. We have about 4 different people that we use to access. Again, but we've just learned that over the years. It used to be a little bit of a headache getting new domains for PDMs. Now it's pretty easy.
Gotcha. Cool. Very, very cool. So moving into some opportunities, let's, pretend that you're not going to sell this business and you wanted to keep growing it. What would be the least risky path you'd focus on to grow this business?
Well, I mentioned the USA, just moving into other geographic markets, trying to push things a bit more over and targeting people in our sector over there. That'd be one route. The other route is I see this business as something that would be easily replicated in other vertical niche sectors. The sector that we're in has a lot of associated business sectors that work alongside it. And I think it'd be so easy to just switch, do an exact same business model in a different sector and just repeat the process.
Yeah, so expanding it with multiple sites to catch those leads, just using the same process you're using for this certain professional.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Is there anything you would do if you wanted to grow the business just as quickly as humanly possible? You kind of threw caution to the wind and a more risky route. Would you do anything different?
I just spend more on market. It's the marketing is just a tap, and the more you spend, the more comes in.
Like what kind of marketing? Like paid marketing or
just paid Facebook marketing? It's just worked so well, the Facebook marketing side of things, and you just know I can look at it and say, well, I spend the X amount of dollars on Facebook marketing, I'm going to get X amount of dollars in revenue. And it's literally just a ratio like that. And if I want more revenue, I would just turn that tap on further.
What do you think the biggest risk is to a business like this that buyers should be aware of?
Well, obviously SEO is a moving target. Google, they try to change things up constantly, but they've been saying this for years that, SEO's, it's always a risk. But there'll always be a market for people that want to rank better on search engines. To me, that's the only real fundamental risk, is what might Google do at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a risk for both you gaining new clients for the business, since a lot of it's organic, and also for your clients in general. You are correct. It is always a moving target, but I'm assuming you have put in some ways to mitigate that risk with how you manage your PBN, something along those lines, or?
Yeah, I mean, obviously very careful how we structure the PBNs. They're all very different. I mean, there's no... If somebody found one part of a PBN, they wouldn't find the others, that kind of thing. I mean, that side of the PBN side of SEO isn't something that concerns me from a risk point of view. The risk I would talk about is just what Google might do generally over the years in terms of how backlinks are treated as part of the ranking model.
Yeah, true. I still think it would be extremely difficult for Google to move away from the backlink idea, but yeah, that's...
Admitted it themselves. I watched an interview with one of the Google guys just a few months back where they were trying to create a search engine, didn't work on backlinks, and they can't do it.
Yeah, it's much more difficult. What would you describe the amount of work that you're doing right now? So what are you doing on a weekly or monthly basis to maintain the business as is, or even grow it a little bit?
The busiest period is, I mentioned that we do this take-on process every 3 months or so. That's I would say, when I'm busy, and it will last about a week worth of activity at that point. And that's generally because at the moment I do the site audits of the people we take on. I do that personally myself. But it is something that could be outsourced to somebody in the team if we felt that was necessary.
Just a couple things there. The site audit, I'm assuming you already have that documented on how you do that.
Yes, exactly. It's pretty straightforward.
You also mentioned that you only open up like every 3 months. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's just how we do it at the moment.
Okay, cool. So you do it almost like on a little launch strategy. So potentially a new buyer, if they had more time or resources, they could just kind of open it up and take as many as they could from that email list.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's the point in time that I'm busiest. And I'd say it's about a week of just sitting down doing those audits. Thereafter, I'll then pass the clients on to our team, and they take care of them. They handle the monthly reporting to the clients. I then get involved in things just on a day basis when clients have queries. They'll maybe email me and say, look, I've done some work that you suggested in the site audit. Could you check it? Have I done it right? So it's just handling email queries. And typically once that first client take on is done, you're lucky if it's 3 or 4 hours a week at that.
That's awesome. It sounds like you have a really good systemized process here. Is there any skills you'd suggest for someone to have before they buy a business like this?
I mean, obviously, if you've got knowledge of SEO, that's a great benefit. But if somebody that didn't have, I could point them to a great course where you could learn this stuff within a few days. I mean, that's where I learned it, ultimately. I'd always had a bit of SEO knowledge. I've been online since way back in the days. I've learned SEO over the years, but the stuff that we're doing now, I only learned relatively recently. And I could point whoever took on the business to those same sources and say, these are the guys that will tell you exactly what you need to be doing. It's all very process driven. That's the key thing about it.
So with the takeover of this business, when the new owner comes, have you already informed your staff that you're selling the business?
No, I haven't yet.
Do you believe that they would be willing to stay on?
Yeah, absolutely. They're all been with us for quite some time now, and they're all quite happy, so I don't see why a change of owner would make any difference to that.
And they're all contractors, right? They're not technically employees.
That's right. They're all basically just outsourced independent contractors.
Cool. In terms of migrating the contracts over to the buyer, do your clients know that you are selling the business, or?
No, they haven't mentioned. Basically, until the business is sold, I wouldn't see any reason why we would.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. So moving to some wrap-up questions here, would you be willing to commit to a non-compete with the buyer?
Yes, absolutely.
And how much support would you be willing to offer that buyer?
I'm happy to give as much support as both of us feel necessary. A month's handover would be more than sufficient, but we would play that by ear. I'm not going to sell a business and abandon it and somebody say, like, you get on with it now.
Yeah.
Because
you bought it.
Yeah. This is still my little baby, you like to make sure your baby goes into safe hands. So
yeah, of course. Now, obviously, the best case scenario here for you and for Empire Flippers is someone comes in and buys the business outright for full list price. But that being said, would you at all be open to earn out scenario where they'd say 80% up front, 20% over a certain period of months, anything like that?
Yeah, I wouldn't be against something like that, depending on how it was structured.
Yeah, obviously they're very individualized and case by case basis, but that's good to know you'd be flexible on something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I have one final question for you, Alan, but before I ask it, I just want to give a quick summary of the business again for everyone out there listening in. As I mentioned at the top of the show, this business was built in October 2013, has a monthly revenue of $9,391 with expenses sitting at $4,024 for that net profit of $5,367 over a 12-month average. And included with the sale of the business is the domain, the hosting platform, social media accounts, the email list with 3,000 subscribers, and a PBN network containing 180 sites within it. So my final question for you, Alan, is what is your best pitch in 30 seconds or less on why someone should purchase this business?
Okay, I would say this site offers significant opportunities for growth. The niche that the site operates in is one of the fastest growing small business sectors around. It's a sector that is typically quite geeky, so the product that we offer sits well with those business owners. The opportunities I see are for someone to expand the service into the US. Currently, we only have a small percentage of clients here, and to look at potentially replicating the service to other vertical sectors in similar niche areas. That would be so easy to do. The site has all the building blocks for success in place, and it's already a proven business model generating profit month after month. And I think for the right owner, this site represents an amazing opportunity for growth.
Excellent. I agree with those points. I think it's really cool. You have such a systemized process. I find it interesting that you are only launching about every 3 months or so. So I see that as a potential opportunity for someone who wants to, take a more hands on the wheel approach and just take as many as they can at once. For everyone out there, if you're watching this on YouTube and want more information, the link will be below this video that will take you to the marketplace listing. If you're watching this on the actual listing page and you want more information, become a depositor today. All you have to do is click the button, make a deposit, and you'll be given everything you need to review this business. So Alan, thank you so much for coming on, man. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.